Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Craft Your Life. This month, we are so excited to welcome Nicole Petersen from the fabulous Picket Fence Studios. Welcome, Nicole. It's so exciting to finally get you over to have a chat. We've done hops together as Altenew and Picket Fence Studios, and there are some Altenew inks in your shop and the stamp wheel, and so lots of goodies over at Picket Fence. So we have to actually have a chat and find out all about Nicole and Picket Fence. So tell us a little bit about yourself, whoever you'd like to start with first.
Okay. So my name is Nicole Petersen. I'm the owner and designer of Picket Fence Studios, along with my husband. Let's see, we live in South Louisiana. We have a city called Houma, which is 35 minutes southwest of New Orleans. And those people think New Orleans is like along the coast. It's not. There's, hundreds of miles below New Orleans. We live below New Orleans. So in fact, New Orleans is actually lower your sea level than we are, and we're closer to the Gulf. Crazy, right?
That is crazy. Yeah. And we learned something educational today.
Yeah. Hey, I was a teacher for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
I taught third, fourth, and fifth grade over the course of 18 years. So I think I taught at 4 different schools. Maybe either 3 or 4. I lost count. But I taught 4th grade the longest. That was my, in that school I was at for 10 years, same classroom for 10 years, and taught the same subject for 10 years. Most of the time, I'd say half and half, I was self-contained, meaning I taught all subjects to the same kids all day long. And the other half, I would have a partner, and I always taught the English language arts, so reading, writing, spelling, and grammar. And then the other person would teach math, science, social studies, and whatever else. Loved being a teacher. It was part of who I was, part of my identity. It's been 15 years since I retired. I think it's not long. I don't know the exact date, but it was time.
It was time.
Never the kids. Kids are never a problem. But it's hard out there in the education system.
It's the stuff behind it. I actually started in college as an education major. I wanted to teach 6th grade. Loved 6th grade. Loved those kiddos. They were great. They're a fun age. They're like little adults, but they hadn't hit the teenage years really yet. So it was a nice little zone that I loved. And it was what was behind the scenes that got me. Like it was just kiddos were awesome. Like they were so fun. So we always at this podcast celebrate the teachers because one of your lovely designers, Charlene, was on and she did it for a day. And she was like, no.
No. Absolutely not.
That was pretty much it. Yeah. She's like, no, I don't know how people do this. So
the amount of it's not work. I'm very much a workaholic. Yeah. It's you're always redoing things.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I loved it when I was a teacher.
And we have a lot of teachers in this industry. So how cool is that? I think the passion for teaching, you want to show your card. You want to say, hey, this is a trick I learned. And you want to keep that kind of education bit going, I think, in our community.
And let's admit it, the bulletin boards are very close to the craft in the world. I remember making some bulletin boards that were ridiculous. Why would I spend so much time doing it? And over time, I actually painted the paper. So I had the paper on the bulletin board. It was a huge bulletin board. And it was ridiculous. Silver stuff. And I wanted an ocean. And I remember literally putting up the paper and it wasn't the right color and going buy paints the next day and sponge painting it in 10 minutes before the bell rang before school. Yeah. And then it was a big ocean thing. And I just wanted to do an ocean. It wasn't like, so yeah, I think it's the paper.
I'm sure it was perfect at the end, though.
Yeah, it was. Don't have a picture of it because, never take a picture of a bulletin board. But we have 2 daughters. We have Georgia, who is 32. She has 4 children. She lives in the same town that we do.
Nice.
I'm going with Sydney, our youngest, and she just turned 28. She actually lives in Kissimmee, Florida, which is where I am.
Nice. You get to visit.
We have that little Airbnb house in Kissimmee, and we only get to come, though, whenever it's a really, really slow time.
Yeah.
whenever somebody else is in that, then you're allowed to come. But we don't get to come as often. It's a rental property. It's not, definitely not a second home.
Yeah. We had that for a while where we have a second property and we used it as Airbnb. So it was like, oh, we got to check and see if we can go to our house this weekend, because of Airbnb. But it's good that allows you to travel and do things. So it's a good thing that you have that. Now, I think it's your mother-in-law. We had talked a little bit. I was fortunate. I saw you in Crossing at a couple events. But I finally got to meet you and talk to you this past July. And I was so excited to finally be able to talk to you because we were both at the creative end. We were both at Creativation, but it just kind of passed in the night. So it was finally fun to have a little chat. And I think you said it's your mother-in-law that packs your orders. And she's like lightning. Whoever does it is like lightning. Like she's...
Her and my husband are the ones who wanted me to start Picket Fence. And I was happy doing what I was doing, traveling to different retail shows and having a little booth. And then I would have I had an assistant that traveled with me. And that person would run the booth for the 2 days. I'd spend 2 days in the classroom teaching. And I taught for like Technique Tuesday. I taught for Echo Park, Photo Play. I could be, a lot of different. I taught for myself and I taught for other companies as well. And I did that for 10 years. That was what I did when I stopped teaching. And then when it got to the 8th year, my husband said, no, you need to start doing this for us, like permanently. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need that. I don't want the responsibility, right? Ugh. So my mother-in-law, who you met, said, no, you can do this. And my husband bought me a brand new computer, and the both of them said, here, get started. And that's how Picket Fence started.
How did you get the name? Family.
Yeah. Just white picket, American family, white Picket Fence Studio. I mean, white picket fence. And we actually have a White House and a white picket. It wasn't just that. There was this little antique store. And every time I drove by, I was like, oh, I like that. But this antique store is called Picket Fence. And then, that thinking of family, and I knew we had so much family working with us. So it just fit.
It's amazing to have a family business and to have everybody kind of pitching in. But you do, you're the designer. You're you do a lot of what we see come out. It's all kind of you. So you have a lot of helpers, but you're kind of it. So we had Kelly Taylor illustrates for us. Yep.
And other than that, I do everything. All the designs.
Now, do you have art background? Did you train in art, or are you just super talented at drawing?
Okay, so I had there's a craft gene that runs in my family on both sides. So, I had my grandmother, my great-grandmother knitted and crocheted and gardened. Gardening is a craft. And then all our aunts, my mom was a crafter, sewed and knitted and crocheted, and my mom was into every craft in the world. So, and I spent a lot of time in fabric stores as a kid, playing with patterns. And so, I think it's just something I was born with. But I never took art classes very much.
Oh, wow. That's amazing to see the designs you draw and to never have had formal training for it.
I mean, it is what it is. Other people can sing, right?
Yes.
If you didn't practice for it. Yeah. My family, both sides of my family are extremely crafty.
Yeah.
So it just was, my dad's an engineer. So, and my brother, then my first cousin also, they're all engineers. So I just think that also was part of it.
It must help be methodical, because you get the methodical and then you get the creative kind of mishmash together that works really well together. We have that a lot in this industry as well.
Yeah, I do have my husband, I was designing something this morning and I was like, okay, can you check to make sure this is all lining up? My husband is a general contractor. So
Oh,
he can, any type of measurement I need, what's blah, blah, blah by blah, blah, blah? You know, he was like, Nicole, it's point blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'll have to Google it. So that's really,
I,
so, you asked me about my mother-in-law, I never got to finish. So yes, my mother-in-law works in the office, so in the warehouse, so she runs the warehouse. She has helpers, of course, and she tells them what to do, and yeah, she runs the warehouse, and then she takes our orders and she packs for sale all the wholesale orders because it's she does, and that's just she just wants to make sure it's packed.
yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be the hard thing is letting go of areas of things. I'd want to do it all too. I want to be like, okay, I want to make sure this is done and this is done, but you can't. I mean, you're only one person.
Yeah.
And
that was the whole deal though. I was like, I don't want this responsibility. I do not want to have to worry about taxes. I don't want to have to worry about writing paychecks. I don't want to do that. That's just, I just want to be crafty and art and teach at the same time. So that was part of it, that they were like, okay, well, my mother-in-law, Madeline, will come and work for us. And my husband will be also. So it just, it worked out. And we all have our own talents. Like my mother-in-law was really good, like with the county. My husband's aunt works for us. Also, she's a CPA.
Wonderful.
She helps with inserts because I had to have some control over something because, inserts are not fun and they're hard.
Yeah.
So, we're very fortunate.
Now, do you get to craft a lot like I say for you, because once you start doing this as a job, that's not for you anymore. You have a purpose, you have a deadline, but do you get time for Nicole to sit down and craft?
So not as much as I used to. Of course, because I get a lot of my creativity out while I'm designing now. Excuse me. So a lot of my imagination and creativity comes out, obviously, when I'm working and designing something. So that takes away some of the desire, I guess you could say. But I still craft. Absolutely. I try to go to 3 events and be a student a year. I've done 2 this year, and I have another one coming up in January, and it's literally at a bar. It's a bar. It is so fun. It's called Gigi's, and it's in, I can't believe I'm talking about this, and it's in Gulf Shores. No, not Gulf Shores. It's right next to Pensacola. So it's the Alabama-Pensacola line, and it's this restaurant that puts on the largest concert in the South, and literally it's across from the beach, and it's just super cool. So yeah, I do still craft.
That sounds like a lot of fun. You get the beach, you get crafting. How can you get better?
I don't craft as much as I used to, because like I said, a lot of my energy that I would have been crafting has gone into a separate area. But it's still my hobby. I still have my studio. Actually here in Florida at Airbnb, I have a studio closet. So I have a closet that, and I'll send you a picture later. But it's on the kitchen table, the kitchen table, and I just pull it all out and set it up. And this is the time that I get to craft.
That's wonderful that you have that time, because it is hard finding, once you create with a purpose, let's call it, because it's a good thing. It's wonderful. We're so blessed in this industry to have jobs like this. But it's one of those things where you're like, okay, what do I like to craft? Like for me, if I had to pick one thing, what would I pick? And it's hard. Now, do you craft? Like now we're getting really into secrets here. Do you only craft with Picket Fence Studios, or do we have some other things sneaking their way onto your table to design?
So I only use stamps or dies from Picket Fence because I don't have time to use all of my own products, much less purchase something and use it. Now I have, when we do hops and stuff, with another company, like your stamp wheel, obviously that's a tool. That's something that we don't carry. So I would use my stamps with your stamp tool. Same thing with like Wow and their embossing powder. We've done hops. So I use other people's products that we don't manufacture. Like we'll never manufacture embossing powder because it's done, right? Yeah. We'll never do ink. it's done. Can't get any better than Ultimate's ink colors and, the properties of these that are out there. So we really like to focus on things that are new.
Yeah.
And if not brand new, a very new spin on something.
Yeah.
Then,
And you want to bring innovation. I mean, that's the secret, right? I mean, that's ultimately the known secret is you want to bring innovation to crafters. How can you make crafters' lives better? And I think that's the question that every company, every crafter is kind of thinking of as they're crafting along. I know I have a friend, Karen, who keeps coming up with these ideas that are genius. If she could just figure out how to work them, she'd be good. Like they're great ideas, because like we get a lot of, from blending, a lot of repetitive motion. And she's like, if we had this thing that would just blend it for us, like we could fix things. And so she's working on it. We never know. Maybe there'll be a blending machine someday that will help us with our tools.
I don't know. I would be happy for a cleaner that just cleans everything for me. In fact, I put our blending brushes in my washing machine.
Really?
Yeah. And I still have brushes from 6 years ago when we first brought blending brushes out.
The original black handle, right? Not the paper. Do you put the paper pouncers in the washing machine? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just like,
no, I like changing blending brushes.
Okay.
So you don't want to wet your pouncers because they don't wet.
Do they shrivel up or what? I was like, oh my gosh.
But when I have a bunch of blending brushes to clean, I have a washing machine that's a front loader. It doesn't have an agitator.
Yep.
So I just throw them all in there with like dog towels or something that, they come out sparkling clean. I throw them in our guest bathroom. I'm going to put a towel down. Nothing, no ink drops out of them. No water comes out. It's amazing. No soap either. No soap.
Wonderful tip.
If it literally soaks and spins all the time. Yeah.
It makes sense because we put those, I use the ever so attractive at this point, microfiber cloths that get so gross. And so it's the same thing, like all the color comes out, and you don't wash them with fabric softener or detergent. They just need water. They just need to get the ink. They need to do a little dance and get the ink out. So that does make sense. And not without the agitator. Yes, that would be.
Yeah. I'm not saying to do this to your washing machine. I'm just saying I don't have whatever my washing machine. I don't think it's a special washing machine. It's just a front loader. Yeah. So there's no agitator for them to bang, roll, run again.
So yes, full disclosure, if you're not comfortable, please do not try this at home. This is just something Nicole does. It has worked for her. That kind of is like when we were talking about hot foiling, it's like, I put shims. You may not need shims. Don't.
I use shims.
I'm a shim girl. Yeah, I need the shims. I like the shims. I get a beautiful results. So sometimes that's the secret, but sometimes you don't need the shims. It depends on every machine. It's one of those. So this is kind of along those lines where you may not want to put your brushes in your washing. You don't have to. It's not required.
So it's like to shim or to not shim. Which you do.
Exactly. And now we're going Hamlet, so we're doing really good. So, what's your favorite thing about designing?
So I like thinking of new tool, coming up with new tool. I mean, I want to make, not make something easier, or to say, but something that helps take away some type of wall that someone has to climb over, or some type of barricade. Yeah. That, something I see that would be easier on crafters in general. I like seeing that come to fruition. But then I also like, and this is kind of selfish, but I also really enjoy the fact that if I want to make something, like if I need a certain stamp or a certain die or a certain product, I can do it. Like I can make it. As long as we can get something that's going to sell,
That's amazing.
That's the most popular products, believe it or not, is when it's something that I had the desire that I needed for something.
Yeah.
And then it just takes off. So that's good.
Because at the end, crafters, we all need generally the same things, whatever brand we use. It's like in the kitchen, you need the same ingredients to make dinner, but do you buy the Kraft mac and cheese? Do you buy cabbage? I mean, it comes down to that, but ultimately we all are taking the same steps to get to that finished product using the products that we have in front of us. So I think that's a great a way to look at it. And how great is it to see when folks are using what you come up with and it's really helping them? Like, it's super helpful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the best. I mean, your goal, this is what my goal in life is, help other people and make things more comfortable, especially with hobbies.
Yeah.
So we can enjoy life and do actually achieve our hobbies. Because a lot of people get used to something, real quick, it's too hard.
Yeah.
And then jump to another ship. We want to try to get those young stampers in.
Yes.
Those young in and keep them in our craft.
Yes.
And then keep them interested also.
Yeah, because we don't see, I mean, we're fortunate to have like Simon Hurley pops immediately to my brain. We're fortunate to have some younger folks, but we do, a lot of us are kind of middle-aged to older age that enjoy what we do. So it would be great to see more get the younger generation kind of into the crafting.
Right.
So,
yeah. Like my youngest one, she used to not read books. I'm an avid reader, and she used to not read at all. And I taught this kid that reading was one of the most important things in her, her chief. And, she would really never sit down with a book, or she'd read one during summer or something like that. Well, about 3 years ago, now she's an avid reader. She reads all the time, like she's obsessed. So I'm hoping maybe when she has children, she'll be like, oh, I think I want to craft. And I mean, you never know. I mean, I really didn't start crafting until after I had her. I mean, She was 20. That was, I started scrapbooking.
Yeah.
And, but I always did crafts as a kid. We always were doing something. I remember my mom always made these for Christmas. It was one of these old fashioned clothespins, but it didn't have a pinch. It had like a ball on top.
Yep.
Those. And then coolant at the bottom.
Yep.
And we used to put ballerinas on those. I mean, I could remember my mom not letting us do the little shoe crosses because we couldn't get them perfectly thin like she did. Yeah. My mom, she's always been into it. So it just rubbed off, but I'm hoping it'll rub off on Sydney.
And it, I mean, I don't know if it's a thing now, but like, cause my son's the same age as your youngest daughter. He's 28. And the favorite thing of his friends were the treat bags that I made cause they got free candy. So I made them for all like the big holidays and stuff. So that I didn't make them one time. So I thought they didn't care. And he came home from school and he's like, I got a question today, like interrogated. And I'm like, about what? He goes, where the treat bags were? Did I eat them all? Where were they? They were looking for them. And I'm like, oh, so like ran out, bought candy, made them that night and gave them to him for the next day. It's funny how the kids look forward to that. So maybe you may have a crafter on your hands. Yeah. For that.
And then our oldest daughter, she likes to craft, but she doesn't think she was creative. So she has a mental block.
Yeah.
So if we tell her to do something, like do 5 steps, it'll come out perfect. Yeah. But she's also the one that can put furniture together. She can take things out the box and follow directions. And I can't read directions to follow them. I need pictures. Okay. And then we can get it done. Like we all have our own, our own little talent.
I like the directions. I love a good direction. I get them out, but I do like the pictures. I just bought something and it had the directions in the pictures. So I'm like, okay, you're my favorite company ever. You have the big steps. So I don't have to read it. I just follow. I'm like, yeah, I did all that already. Good. I'm in the zone. I'm happy.
Yeah. And I can't follow the written directions. I mean, I'm sure I could if I tried, but I'm more of like, take everything out. Okay. What looks like it goes together? What's the bottom one?
I think that's the fun part.
Yeah. If I can't figure it out, then I'll look at it.
And if you have a shelf that, it's a little crooked, that's all right. You can take it apart, put it back together again. It's fine. So, so if you don't follow the directions, you can always just repeat it and you can come up with hopefully what you're supposed to get in the end.
Yeah. Or you just go, okay, I tried. I don't know what to say. I don't, the screw don't fit in the hole. I mean, what you want me to do? He's like, read the directions. I'm like, no. That's not going to happen. I'm not reading the directions.
Now, do you enjoy putting things together without directions?
Yeah. But so you never know. Jordan, with her, she can put anything. I'm like, Dad has to put this together in like a week. Can you come over and put it together for me? Sure, I'm coming over. So she'll come over and put it together for me.
That's awesome. And yeah, hopefully we'll get them both into crafting. And yeah, I mean, I think sometimes too, it's having that confidence, because especially if she can do the steps when you're like, here, do these 5 steps. I know folks like that they make the most beautiful things. They're like, well, it's not really good right here. I don't like this blending, and the sentiment's crooked, and it looks gorgeous. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's stunning. And so, yeah, I think it's the confidence and building that over time a lot of times.
Yeah, and also you can be a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to card making. Well, I used to scrapbook. Obviously, most people started scrapbooking and got into card making. And with my scrapbooking, I wasn't as particular as I am now. Like now, I do admit I'm very much like, okay, the blending won't bother me if it's a little off. But, if something's not straight, or I didn't want to cockeye it, but I have to, because now all the other elements. Yeah. So I do find card making makes us more of perfectionists than it was when we were scrapbooking or whatever. So yeah.
Our eyes are so picky too. Like it sinks in 3s. It likes it lined up here. It likes it there. It's like, oh, I didn't know my eyes were so particular before I became a crafter.
Yeah. Actually, I completely agree with you there. Or is it straight? Is it straight enough?
Yes. And then you have all the rulers and gadgets to see if it is. And then you still stamp it crooked, which that's the club I'm in. I have all the gadgets to make it straight. And then I still get it just a hair off. Just nobody notices. I notice, of course, but nobody else does.
It is what it is. Yeah. It's handmade, not from the background. Yes. So, if you enjoy doing it, then that's 1 plus. And then you give it away, and that's 2 pluses, and they, enjoy it and then keep it. You have all kinds of pluses all around. So it's a good thing.
And there is something special about giving away a card, because it's one of those that it's something you put yourself into, and sometimes you toil. I mean, sometimes I've had cards where, usually I'm a fast crafter, but sometimes you put like a couple hours. You really everything's perfect on this card, and you give it away, and it's that feeling of you're passing that on, and it's just such a great feeling.
So that was one aspect of being a card maker that I enjoyed, like giving up scrapbooking and moving on to card making, was because I really feel that every time I give a card away, I'm giving a little bit of myself to that person. Yes. And giving a little bit of myself away to someone means something to me. Yeah. Even if they read it, whatever, and throw it in the trash, I got all of my benefit out of it, right? So if they choose to throw it away, well, that's their loss, not mine. But most people who know you and they understand that it's a hobby, but it's not, it's important to you. Yes. Most people will keep your cards. Yeah. They'll collect them. And like, okay, this is Nicole's Christmas cards. All right, here, Yeah.
I have boxes that people say I never throw. I'll throw some of my old ones away that I don't like. I'm like, oh God, what was I thinking? I'll throw mine away, a couple of mine away, which I know my friends are going to go, oh, just give them to us. But I have bins of cards that people have sent me, and I'll go through them sometimes. It's just fun to visit them and look at them. And, for some of the crafters, I've known them since they kind of started. And so it's fun to watch them as they progressed in their skills and in things that they like to do. And it's just amazing. So it's as good, especially as a crafter. Like you said, we know what goes into it. We understand. So especially to look back at them, it's amazing.
Very, very much so. Do you want to know a fun story?
I would love a fun story. We love fun stories here. Yes.
My daughter works for Disney World. Okay, so she graduated from college, and she moved to Florida. We stayed in Louisiana. And she started at their internship. So she did a year of that. And then there was COVID. So she had to come back home. And then they hired her back after COVID. So first she was in merchandising, where she did all this. She had to wear like a princess dress every day, and, put sprinkle dust, pixie dust on top of people and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, now she works at Town Hall, which, have you been to Disney World?
37 years ago, so it's been a while.
She works in Magic Kingdom, right? So when you walk into Magic Kingdom, basically she works at the customer service complaint center.
Yep.
Right when you walk in and you look to the left, there's a set of bathrooms right there, and then there's a building called Town Hall, and that's guest services. So that's where my daughter works. She's the one that says, yes, we can help you, or no, we're not doing that. So her boyfriend also works for Disney, and they've been together almost 2 years. Well, when they met the first couple of months, she went over to his house, and she looked at his refrigerator, and she said, I know that stamp. Where's this? Who gave you this? He said, my mom. And Sydney's like, my mom made that stamp. Your mom bought that stamp for my mom and made you a card. So how cool is that? His mom is a card maker. I mean, it's just like...
And she bought your stamp. I mean, how cool.
I mean, it was so absolutely... I just think it's one of the coolest things ever. I mean, she starts dating someone from Michigan, and then 2 weeks goes her, and there's a card that I created, the design on his refrigerator.
Totally random meetings, and there's your product.
I just love that story. I thought that was so fun. And so, yeah, she was like a fangirl before she even met me, which, I thought that was so cool.
That's very cool. That's like 1 in a million that all those things are going to line up to, and that your daughter was like, wait a minute, I know that. I know that.
Now, she sends her son a lot more cards than I send my daughter.
I was just going to ask you, how are you at sending them out? Because I'm horrible. I freely admit it. I'm awful. I'm horrible at sending them out. How are you at sending out cards?
I'm not good enough. Not good. Actually, the only person that I really send a card to are my children.
Yeah.
And that's only because when you work and you're working with your own product, the card I'm making is either for a class, it's for a magazine, it's for something, right? And then it ends up needing to go to a show. Yeah. Where people touch it, drop it, knock the corners. It is what it is. My cards get handled a lot, you could say. Well, by the time it's time that it no longer is, the stamp says no longer relevant, you could say, I don't want to give it away. It's yucky, so. But I should, I need to do multiple. That way I have one to give and one to keep.
And it's easy, especially like we were talking with the stamp wheel. It's easy to stamp multiples and have them just ready to go in your stash. And I don't know what the disconnect is. I make the card. I have Altenew carries beautiful envelopes with the self-sticky steel and everything, like perfect envelopes. And the cards just don't make it in there. I don't know. I need to work on that. That's a goal. It's been a goal for a few years now. It just hasn't made it.
I see. I admire the people that have cards like in their purses. And if someone does something kind for them, they can take a card and give it to them. Yeah. That's devotion. I can't imagine. I didn't like receipts in my purse.
My card would look like yours at the end of the event. It would be like, I don't know what happens in my purse. I don't really want to know, but it seems like it's the Wild Wild West in there when I'm not looking. I don't know what goes down, but it seems like there's a few things roughed up when I go back in there. So I think a card would not fare well in my bag. So
they might have some kind of special holder.
They have to. They have to. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's an invention, like a purse card holder that you can carry. Because I know folks leave like those stones like on hiking trails with like positive messages. And that's become a thing. And then people take just pictures a lot of times, unless they really need the stone, like they're in a place they need it, they just leave it. A lot will post pictures like on social media and say, look what I found here. And it's just kind of like the old leave a penny, take a penny, kind of encouraging folks. But I love that idea of, just meeting. Like I met a little girl when I was paying my taxes this morning. It would have been fun to give her something cute with a pumpkin on it because Halloween's coming, or something like that, so that would have been a fun idea. And I think she would have enjoyed it. And maybe I would have bred a new crafter. So I think it's something may need to do, Yeah. Or maybe we need a crafting purse that has a pouch that's like kryptonite where you can't do anything with the cards.
It never gets wet inside, right? And the humidity can't get through it. Because I'm telling you, the humidity has ruined many cards for me. Yeah. when I do send them in the mail, I have to be, and when someone sends me something, I'm like, you better wrap it up like Fort Knox, because it gets in the mailbox, or it's not my mailbox is not temperature controlled.
Yes.
So you need to protect that card, please.
And I can do the Fort Knox thing because it's literally 20 minutes up the road. So I can go take notes and send you a card just like Fort Knox.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Now, because you design and you create cards, where do you get inspiration? Because that is one of the questions from so many crafters, because creativity, sometimes it's like somebody turned the faucet off. So how do you get inspired and stay inspired?
I have a very eclectic personality. Like I moved a lot when I was a kid, and so I experienced a lot of different things, good and bad, and I've experienced a lot. I've traveled extensively. So every day, and then some of it, since we've been open for 6 years now, some of it is like, okay, we need to do the cat dog. We haven't done the cat and dog in a long time. Flowers, I absolutely love foliage and flowers. And like both of mine, one grandmother gardened, and the other grandmother was obsessed with her, she had acres, like 3 acres of flower beds that she made. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. And every time we went over there, we had to help with the flower beds.
Yes.
So I gained a lot of knowledge, believe it or not, through just being with her outside all the time. So, when I see a pretty flower and it's something that I've never seen before, or, it was just a flower that my grandmother used to grow, down here, our hydrangeas only live for like a month. When I went to Pennsylvania once, the mop-head hydrangeas, they were like this big.
Yeah.
Like huge. And every time we would go back to our hotel, I would tell my husband, well, look out. I just got to touch it. Okay. I just need to touch the big, huge hydrangea, because we don't have it that big. I mean, this is like a globe, and there's like 20 of them, So, plants. I like plants. What else? I'm not going to say clothing, because clothing, like magazines, I don't get inspired by magazines.
I don't think they have a lot of magazines. I know, like there's like Sports Illustrated. I see that at the physical therapist, but there's not like when we were kids. There are tons of magazines. Now I don't see a lot of magazines anymore. Which is, used to be good. As we were kids, we'd make those collages and rip the pages out, and it's so much inspiration. But yeah, it's hard, I think, now with magazines to get inspired. We just don't see them anymore around as much as we used to when we were younger.
Yeah, you're right. And some of my inspiration that just comes from my life. Like if I'm like, I had skin cancer 2 years ago. So, we came out with some cancer stance, and that was from there. I have 4 dogs. So anything with the dog, I like animals. Yeah. I like the color. Fun things that are really cool to watercolor. I love suns and stars and clouds, and I don't have a good answer for that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, those are all good answers. And to be inspired by life, and glad the skin cancer is doing well. Yes.
No,
yes. Good. Yeah. Excellent. But that's the thing. I think having that and sharing, we were talking about sharing a card, and you're sharing a piece of yourself. Like, you're sharing a piece of yourself, a really big piece of yourself in your designs. So to take it from your life is, and that's the most influential thing, right? Is you get up every day and the things that are happening to you. So that makes complete sense. I'll throw cats in there with your dogs, because I have 2 cats. So I'm going to throw cats in there too. Think cats.
I'm an animal lover. I love all of them. Yeah. Animals, plants, kids,
So can you grow plants? Because you got a lot of training.
I can grow them.
Excellent.
Yep. Not like my sister. My sister has more of a green thumb than I do. I am better with color and design, and she has a much more green thumb, and she can cook. I don't cook.
I don't cook either. No.
But living in Louisiana, the only food I know how to cook is Cajun. So if you want me to cook you a gumbo, well, that's easy. I can do that. I can do these complex little, 4 or 5 hour stews and soups and gumbos and stuff. But the spaghetti and chili, I mean, come on now. But don't ask me to bake like a casserole because I don't know what's in that. That would just, So we eat a lot of Cajun food. So we eat a lot of gumbo at least once a week. We eat lots of boiled seafood. I'm a seafood lover. I don't eat much red meat at all. And it's because my grandfather, when he retired, he bought a boat and he would trawl the lakes down here, and that's what he did in retirement. And we literally every meal was seafood.
I didn't get to try seafood when I was just in Louisiana in March. I did try Cajun. I did try alligator. I didn't get to try a lot of the seafood though. So that's my next trip to Louisiana. I'm really going to dig into the seafood portion and really grasp on and try that. So it was beautiful. You have a beautiful state. It was lovely to visit. So
a lot of it, like from my life, my grandparents, even though they've all been passed away for a while, they still had a huge impact on my life. My dad's an engineer, so but before that, he actually owned a business with my grandparents.
Oh, wow.
So that was a lot of traveling when I was a kid. And then, I felt very fortunate. I had the best in-laws in the world. We were married 30 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Not crazy? I know.
That's awesome.
And my mother-in-law that when you met, she actually told someone at the show that we were sitting next to each other at, someone asked who she was. And I was standing behind Madeline and I had my arm like around her like this. And she said, she's my daughter.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, this is so important.
It is nice. With my husband, he called my mother mom. So she's like, oh, my son. So yeah, it's nice when you have that. It's an amazing thing to have that bond and that type of family. It's amazing. It's really priceless. Now, how in this big, wild, crafty world did you find Altenew?
Well, remember when I told you that I used to travel? I traveled for 10 years. This year. So I traveled for 10 years. And I did like all the CKC shows and expos, Great American. I only did the really large conventions, large. And we had we even had those metal pods that they shipped for us that go onto 18-wheelers. So there's these just sort of like an armoire that have the doors that open, except it's huge and it's metal. And so we had like 4 of those. I even had my own classroom pod. They would bring my little classroom pod into the classroom. So it was like a classroom on wheels that was driven from one event to the next. I taught for 2 full days.
Yep.
It was a lot. So we had a booth, because if you're going to be doing something, you might as well do all of it. Now, don't just open a little booth, bring in an assistant, let them run it. So when I started purchasing their product and I sold it in the booth for a very long time. It did very, very well.
Now, what's your favorite thing about Altenew? What do you love best?
So I like the same thing. I like that who the owner is. I think she's very, very nice and polite lady.
Yeah.
And I respect that her and her husband work together.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. And she's she thinks that she wants to be innovative, not necessarily a copy.
Yeah.
And that's I appreciate that. I like the creativity of Altenew. I'm so hooked on the inks right now. It's just unbelievable. But we do have a little web store internet.
Yep.
And I am starting to carry. I've always carried Altenew product.
Yeah.
Like in the store. But as soon as we're hopefully we're going to get a bigger warehouse soon. So then I can carry more Altenew stuff. Because actually, it's funny. We're in Florida. And I have a craft closet, right? Last time I was here, I must have brought my stamp wheel and listing that I bought to stay here home with me. Because guess what? I have no stamp wheel. I have no listing.
Oh, no.
I have a little bitty name on me. And that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll be die cutting.
Backgrounds? You can make some beautiful backgrounds.
No, she's mailing me one. My mother-in-law's mailing me one because we also are doing our Picket Fence Studios release on the 14th, and we'll still be here.
You need that.
So yeah. So she has to, and they didn't give me everything that I need for that. So she's having me mail a box anyway. Let's go get it off the shelf.
It'll be fun to get the box. A little crafty supplies. Now, what do you like to, when you sit down to create, what do you like to create? Do you like die cutting or backgrounds, or are stamps something you first reach for?
I like backgrounds. I like getting messy. I'm not, my style is eclectic.
Yeah.
And my cards are that way too. Meaning that, I like high contrast. I like that looking at a card and you're going to see colors popping.
Yep.
Not just a matchy.
Yep.
Yeah, it all goes together. It's pretty, but that's not me. I'm much more high contrast. So, yeah, I'm much more into background. I love the ink blends, alcohol ink, our paper glaze. Actually our paper glaze, I made that recipe. That's I created that recipe in my studio, and we've just gone off on that. We have 7 or 8 different types of paper glaze now.
Yes.
And all those recipes I came up with.
I just made a Halloween card. This is fabulous for Halloween cards. I love it.
It's self levels. You put that our glitz on, and it keeps its shape, but when it dries, it keeps its shape.
Yes.
It levels out.
Yes, it does. Yeah. My bats are huge. Yeah. It's fabulous. As big as the stencil was. My bats are that size. It's great. So yeah. And so do you like to mix and match? Because you have beautiful watercolors, you have the pastes, so are you mixing in inks, the beautiful inks? Are you mixing and matching things in, or do you stick with a medium?
No.
Oh, okay.
I actually, so we only have one ink pad, and it's black.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And honestly, we only have that because people, when I was teaching after I opened PFS, people expected me to have my stamp pad in the booth. So that's the only reason why we even have one.
Yeah.
So usually with the card, I don't have a plan in my head.
Yeah.
When I start a card at all, there's no plan. I don't know what size. I usually start with what I want to play with.
Yes.
The product is what calls for me. So I'll pull out some product, and then I don't know. Do I feel like watercoloring that day? Do I feel like ink blending? Do I want to use paper glaze? Do I want to go clean the stencil after?
That's the question.
Or I also have a drawer where when I'm almost done with a jar of paper glaze, I'll grab a piece of paper and spread the rest of it onto paper and let it sit, and then I stick it in my drawer. So the next time I want to use, lime green, I go and dig through there, and I already have half a sheet of lime green.
Oh, no.
So that's how I'm going to read. Yeah, with using glazes, and still, because some people don't want to use glazes because they don't want to have to wait for it to dry. Well, you can do it and put it away and then die cut through it. So, yeah, I'm much more of a stamper than a die cutter. I guess I'm much more of a traditional stamper that way. I mean, die cutting is fun, but it also can be very studious.
Depending on the die set, yeah. Sometimes there are those little bitty pieces that literally you touch it with your tweezers and it shoots across the room, and you're like, I'm never finding that ever again.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when it was paper piecing is what it was called. I had no interest. But then sometimes it's cool because sometimes if you want to make a ticket booth, you can't. You don't have a stamp, but you have a die. So I don't know. It's fun. I like using patterns. Not seriously. I like colored cardstock also.
Yes.
Very much so. Addicted to colored cardstock.
And we have a lot of it now. We're getting more. We're getting all the colors. So we would have had the perfect color for your bulletin board, I'm sure.
Sure. So funny. Yeah, and I did buy the new watercolors. The cute little baby tubes. I love that they're just those little baby tubes.
Yeah. Because
that is such good quality paint. You don't need this much.
No.
Because we're in our 50s already.
Yes.
So you don't need but I'm going to figure out a way to store them. I was thinking about doing something with a clip. What do you call those? A paper clip? Not paper clip.
The binder clip.
The binder clip. We talk craft.
It's like a duck,
So I want to, they're so cute. I just want to get some little like small something or other and hang them with a little pin.
Lindsay Wyrick, she's the frugal crafter. She just did a class with us, and she has in her background, I believe that's how she hangs her paint tubes, is with the binder clips. So I'll have to, if I find that picture I'm thinking of how she hung them, I'll send I know I've seen that somewhere recently. So if I see that picture.
That wasn't a new idea. That came from Pinterest, but I don't know how.
But you get to see it, you get to, not only do you see your supplies, so you're like, ooh, I want to use those, but it's decorative, right? So you get to have it decorate your space as well, which is nice.
Yeah, I love at night when I'm trying to fall asleep and my husband's asleep, and we have 4 dogs. We have 3 dogs, 4 if you count our grandbaby dog. But who she thinks she knows who she belongs to. Oh yeah. So I'll watch videos on YouTube. I love watching craft rooms, setups and simulations. It's so relaxing, and sometimes you can incorporate ideas. Sometimes you're like, oh, my idea is better than that. Yeah. But look at that idea. Wow. How did she think of that? Yeah. So I also am addicted to organization as well.
I want to be organized. I buy the stuff to be organized. And then it's like that gap between the card, the envelope. I'm working on that gap between the buying the stuff and implementing the plan. I'm working. I figure it's a work in progress. What am I going to do if I solve all of the problems today? I have nothing for tomorrow. I got to keep something.
Exactly. So my number one thing that I do in my craft room to keep it organized, just to give you a little bit, nothing is ever allowed on the floor. Ever. But that's just my rule. Like if I'm buying something new, it can be on a counter, okay? But there are no piles of anything allowed on the floor. Ever. And that's just, I made that rule for myself, and my studio is so much cleaner now, or much more organized, because I don't put stuff on the floor. I don't have a place to stack stuff.
I'm working towards that. I still have stuff because I think we came into this about the same age as well. Because I bought a scrapbook when my son was a couple of years old, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. This is great. I'll catalog. I have more pictures of the cats. I told him, I said, when you have kids, it'll be in the next few years, I promise I will knock it out of the park with the scrapbooks, but I'm sorry, because now I just hit a button on my phone and it prints and I've got it. We used to have to take the film, get it developed. Half the pictures had fingers over the faces. And so, I'll start with the grandkids. But, back in the day, it was very different when we started scrapbooking 28 years ago. So, and I still have some of the cool things we had back then that I don't use, but I hate to get rid of, because I'm like, well, it was really cool back then, but I just need to take a deep breath and it's got to go. It's got to go. Some of these drawers, I don't even know what's in there. I have no clue. What's in there. And I open it and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't even use this. So I need like a good, like solid week where there's nothing, like internet service crashes. There's no TV. There's no nothing. There's just, I can clean my office space. So that's the goal. And your rule, I'm going to call it the Nicole rule, is definitely one I want to implement in my own space, because it feels, when you, like, I walk in here now and I'm like, and then it's hard to be creative. So I think the Nicole rule, it'll be much more fabulous. I'll walk in and be like, creating, yay, so yeah.
Another thing I do is I don't have much countertop space. My desk is pretty much the only countertop space. And then if I do have a little bit of countertop space, I'll put decorations on it.
Oh,
or something like that.
See, I have my printer. It's utilitarian. Yeah. It's nothing exciting. Yeah. Hold my printer.
But I make it where I can't make one. I can't get that far. I have to stop and clean up. So.
Yep. They asked for a picture of where I work, my workspace. So I just took the scary stuff on the desk and put it on the floor, right? And somebody goes, isn't that a little deceptive? And I said, no, if they would have asked for a picture of my floor, I would have sent it. They didn't ask for that. They asked a picture of where I work. So we were very literal.
There are days that I spend the whole day in bed working. Like if it's just working on the computer, the dogs lay around me and, I'll work all, and of course I get up and eat whatever.
Yeah.
I'll just work right in my bed if, or then who knows, I might be sitting at the kitchen table for the next 2 days or in my actual studio, or I work all over the house.
That's good though. More inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Definitely.
as you know, we mentioned this in the question thing. We have a fun thing that we finish the podcast with. There are 3 words we give you, and you have to tie them back to crafting somehow. We do allow the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I call him the crafty Kevin Bacon. I don't know if he is. I should email him and find out. Are you crafty? I keep calling you crafty Kevin Bacon. So are you crafty? So I need to find that out. But so we have our 3 words. Are you feeling tough and ready?
I'm a little confused about Kevin Bacon. How does it play?
So, the old adage where 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, like everybody knows everybody and Kevin Bacon is right in the middle of that. So as long as you can connect it somehow back to crafting, we're good. Okay. Your first one, the crafty gnomes are being very nice today. Your first one is flower.
Petal, blue, pink, red, stem, green, grass. Outside.
What's your favorite flower to draw? Do you have a favorite flower to draw? Daisies.
My great grandfather had he raised daylilies.
Oh wow! Now, do you have a lot of pictures of your old grandparents' houses with the gardens? Do you have a lot of? Oh, that's excellent. Sounds gorgeous. It's that much. My grandmother had a very small one, so I can't imagine on that magnitude. It must have been stunning.
What? So my dad's grandparents owned a cattle ranch.
Oh, wow.
So talk about fun. Yeah.
That would be cool pictures.
Remember I told you I've always had animals around me. And so we had horses, like a cheer for waving a horse for me. And sorry.
Okay, your next word. This one's easy too. Green. I can think of a few things off the top of my head for green for you.
Parts of sunflowers are green. I really look out the windows. Bushes. To craft.
The crafting,
green. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Markers, watercolor, paper.
And you have a lot of green for Picket Fence. It's on your packaging, and the scrubby is green. A lot of green. The gnomes are loving you.
Can I not do the first word, Pearl?
No, you did. Yes. Petal. All those fit in crafting because you design petals, we color petals, and yes, you like knocked that out of the park. You had like 10 words for that. You were just off.
Yeah. Green. I mean, like I said, markers, watercolor, paper. But green is a lot of people think green is my favorite color because that's the color for a picket fence. However, I like green. It's probably my second favorite color, but all the other colors were taken when I was trying to find a color for picket fence. So I would have loved to do teal, but I mean, come on, how many stem companies have teal? And pink or aqua blue or turquoise blue. So I was like, well, we're going to go with green.
Do you have a favorite color that you lean towards, or not say favorite, because that seems like it excludes others, but do you have a color you lean towards a lot?
Yellow and green.
Yellow and green.
I love the contrast between yellow. I use yellow in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yellow or black.
See, I always thought picket fence, I thought the reason that you guys had green was because the fence, and then the grass. I always thought that was why the grass was green, picket fence. And I was like, makes sense. And so that was always my assumption.
That's a good idea, though.
I overanalyzed it a little bit more than I probably needed to, but you got to think of things when you're crafting. Like, if there's nothing on, the brain goes and you just randomly think of things.
Well, my husband, for the first 4 years, we didn't have a stamp or a die. That was a fence. He said, how can we be picket fence if we don't even have a fence? I said, because it has nothing to do with a fence. So finally, last year, I came out with a broken Halloween crooked fence.
You can do a lot with those, though. Fences are great, especially for die cutting. And no, backtracking a little bit, but were you always a stamper and not, did you ever go through a phase where die cutting was kind of a thing? No, always a stamper. Yeah.
Always. Yeah. Always. Stamping is just, I love the fact that I can put images on other things. It's not just, I mean, I like decoupage. Don't get me wrong. I like paper, but I never was like a paper piercer or a big into die cutting. I love stencils, but that goes back to being messy, Yeah. A lot of my cards are more towards mixed media because I like to use all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they're not, my cards are not mixed media okay. There's tags. People like to make tags, and they do a lot of mixed media stuff on it, right? It's beautiful. I love that. However, my cards are more, I'm not going to say cleaner, because that's not the right word. It's mixed media, but it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit more, flash, I guess it's just fun.
Yeah, no, I know I can envision kind of what you're saying there. Yeah. Yeah. Because mixed media, you think of, I mean, when I think of mixed media, I think of the old days with like the brown inks and kind of vintagey, and now mixed media is anything you have more than one medium on. So it can be anything you want it to be, really. It's like magic. It's just anything.
Yeah, I think, right. You really truly could end up with 10 to 12 different mixed media products on a card.
Yeah.
And be happy.
Which is fabulous. They all coordinate beautifully. Your final word, and the gnomes loved you today. I think this one's easy too, is travel.
Travel. Scrapbook stores.
Yep.
Stamps. Conventions.
Yep.
Teaching. Going to retreats.
Yes.
Packing all your stuff and not forgetting to bring your stamp wheel.
Yeah.
Making sure you have all of your inks, because I am a huge ink collector. I mean, it's ridiculous. I have to have every color. We will never do ink because I need everybody else's colors. Because if we do ours, then I'm going to be limited to just those inks.
Yeah.
And that won't work.
Yeah. No. We need all the pretty colors.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, I've been to Germany. I taught on the world show, the world craft show they have in Germany. I demoed there for 3 days. Travel. I went on Oshanda, which is now the craft channel, was there one.
Oh, wow.
From that flight. I can go on and on about traveling. One year I did 32 shows.
Whoa. Holy Toledo.
Gone to 32. Yeah. I went out and I was like, we're doing it again.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, 12 months, 32 shows. That math is a little rough.
2 weeks. That means I was only home 20 weekends out the whole year. Wow. I mean, it was exhausting. But like I said, I'm well traveled. I have been,
Well, I'm glad you have your mother-in-law traveling with you now as a lovely assistant. That must be nice.
Matt was there. My husband and my father-in-law were there.
Oh, I didn't see them. I didn't know. Okay, so you have a whole family. That's wonderful. You get kind of a little family vacay mixed in with a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and letting us know, because we see Picket Fence out there all the time, and it's so exciting to hear more about how it started. And also thank your husband and mother-in-law for buying that computer and really pushing you into this.
And that is the honest to God truth. My husband bought it and put it in my lap. Here, get started. I'm like, I don't even, and my first set, fish.
Nice.
I don't think I don't like to go in the ocean because they're sharp, right? But I love that.
Not where I live. The water's too cold, but they're working their way up here, but not yet. So it's still too cold for them. And some good things about Maine, it's too cold for certain things to live here. So I'm okay. Snakes, no poisonous snakes here. So I'm okay with that. So
yeah, we don't have alligators in my neighborhood. Like there's alligators not that far away, but I don't live in the swamp, so I'm good.
Not on purpose, no.
Not on purpose. I live in a real house.
Yes.
In a real neighborhood. Like, I have to tell people that. You live in Louisiana. Oh, I don't know what they thought I lived in.
Without a climate controlled mailbox.
Everything else is climate controlled. It's this hot. You go from your car into somewhere, and out of somewhere, back to your car. No stopping in between.
Even in March, it was hot. It was, I mean, we have humidity, but it was toasty. It was like you walk out and you're like sticky. Just. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And it was so much fun to have you as a guest and get to know you a little bit better. So all of our wonderful Altu fans and Picket Fence fans watching, you guys get to hear about both companies. We love to work together in this amazing community that we are so blessed to be part of. And so tune in next time, you guys, to see who we will have as the next wonderful guest. You never know who we're going to have invited into our studio for the next podcast. So tune in to find out. And until then, craft your life, my friends. Make something beautiful. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for inviting me.
Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere you can find podcasts to keep up with every new episode. Email us at support@altanew.com with your feedback. And don't forget to craft your life.
Hello, crafters. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.